Wild time.
Real quick, can I make a suggestion?
Please.
We got about 15 minutes left here.
Yep.
I think we go out with everyone's favorite segment. Can I get a jingle for a game?
I mean, is it going to be...
It's not a specific game. It's the Extinct or Alive game.
Oh, there we go.
My
Nice.
God. Here.
Do we
I
have
haven't done that in a while.
Do we have a jingle?
Yeah, there's a jingle. Here it is. This one.
Is it extinct? Oh no. Or is it alive?
Besides your own dick.
Woohoo. Come on. That didn't have to go in there. All right.
Every time.
All right. I've teed up two, and I want to take a deep dive into these. Peter, as the very smart, never bullied layman, will weigh in. And then Forrest, as the well-researched wildlife biologist / TV personality, will also weigh in.
Let's go.
First animal I want to talk about. It's a favorite of mine. I've wanted to take a deep dive into the one that got away for me, mostly because I wanted to go to Europe. The Pyrenees Ibex.
Yes. Peter, you must, of course, go first.
Well, describe the animal first, Forrest. Describe the Pyrenees
Sure.
Ibex.
Peter, do you know what an ibex is, or do you need that definition as well?
It's like a horned goat, isn't it? Ish?
Yeah.
Like kind of like a horned goat?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's pretty accurate.
See, I've learned things.
So it's a big mountain goat, and the Pyrenees ibex is believed to be an extinct species that comes from the high mountains. Was it between Portugal and Spain? Right, Patrick?
Yep, the Spanish.
Trying to remember the name
exactly.
of the mountains.
Yep, Portugal and Spain extinct in 1892.
I just don't remember the name of the mountains. But anyway, well, the Pyrenees Mountains, obviously, between Portugal and Spain. And so it's this big mountain goat. And they believe it's extinct. There's a couple hunters that have reported seeing them on the sides of cliffs while up high in the mountains. The Pyrenees Mountains are very snowed in all winter, which is when the animals would be quite active. So people don't really get to go up to the tops of the Pyrenees Mountains during that time. Your thoughts?
I just put a picture in the chat for you there, Peter, too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to say that these are definitely not extinct. They're a goat. They're very common. You know, they're in the mountains. They're high up. People aren't going up there. What are they? They're not skiing. These mountains, I assume, are rough, like, those waters that the sharks were in that we talked about earlier. But who's going here to see, who's going up here other than hunters? Hunters like to make up stories, but I don't think they made this up. These things exist for sure, 100%.
Very weird train of thought. Okay. I'm going to go... Wait, I forget. When we play Extinct or Alive game, do you weigh in, Patrick, or do you just judge?
I just kind of moderate, I think.
Got it. Okay, you moderate. I'm going to go extinct, and here's why. While I do think that they probably lived longer than we initially thought they did. Europe in general is pretty well studied. It's pretty advanced. It's pretty modern. They're pretty good about their fauna because they don't have a lot of it left. So they're pretty good at surveying for it. And so, although we had some really interesting information on the Pyrenees Ibex that led us to wanting to go on a really cool investigation, I'm going to go ahead and say Pyrenees Ibex is extinct.
Is there a case to be made that a small pocket could... I mean, the one thing I don't really know is how well-traveled are the Pyrenees? Are there pockets of it that are no-one summits? Is there a really dangerous one like K2 where...
I believe
like
so.
That?
I believe so. So I believe that there are regions, and I'm not positive. This was a long time ago we looked at doing this, and I remember we had this whole sort of climbing idea because it was really hard to get up there. But I believe that there are pretty large regions of not unexplored, but just unvisited regions in the Pyrenees Mountains because it's just so remote. Think about it this way. There's these huge mountains. There is a region between 9,000 feet and basically the top, which is like 10,000 feet, where the Pyrenees Ibex used to live. It's super rocky and cliffy, and there's nobody can hike there because you need full-on climbing gear, so nobody's really going there. So, yeah, I mean, there are cases to be made
what
that
I like about
in
this
this extreme, they could still be there. What's that?
You know what I like is that he just... he gave the logical argument for my answer that they exist even after claiming they're extinct. So perfect.
No, that's exactly what I did.
win clearly with the addition of that to my answer. Consider that my answer as well.
Nobody wins. It's just
Yeah.
it's just a debate. That's all.
Okay. I don't know where the
but you
game
won,
comes
for
in,
sure.
but okay.
No, if
I would like to
if I
think
thought
they're
there
around.
was no choice, it wouldn't have been like in the top 3 list for Extinct or Alive season 3. It was sorry, no chance, right? It
Just
was
trying to
in
make it
the list.
competitive.
No, I know you are, and good for you for trying. But
No,
it was in the list.
You're trying to make it competitive. For me.
Yes. All right. Whatever.
He's so tired. He can't deal with me. It just let out a big sigh.
You're exhausting.
Thank you.
All right.
my-
Next
that's
one.
my
Next one.
talent.
Next one. Another great one. We talked about big area, not super, not a million people going through there.
Yep.
The Arabian ostrich. It was
Ooh,
a
I love this one.
subspecies of ostrich that lived in. Where did it live? In this, it was also called the Syrian ostrich or Middle East. Lived on the Arabian Peninsula. Was deemed extinct. They thought it was extinct in 1948, and then someone actually found one that was sick and dying in Petra in 1966.
Correct.
There have been reports of old eggs, very old eggs, that are still occasionally found. But yeah, it has not been seen since 1966.
Also, the last one, this is just kind of a fun tidbit or less fun, however you want to look at it. The one that died in 1966 was shot and eaten by oil pipeline workers. They're like, oh, that looks like a good bird, and shot it and roasted it.
Wow.
Yeah, while working on an oil pipeline.
Well, I hope they got sick because it was sick. So, this definitely, for sure, does not exist because there's many oil pipelines running through the area, I'm sure, and these human hunters are terrible people eating rare birds, extinct birds. So they've hunted them all out of existence.
So this
100%.
one I also had in
question.
sort of my dream list for Extinct or Alive Season 3. And the reason being, there's a couple clues that make me think it could still exist. And first, okay, this animal was transient, right? Meaning it didn't live just in one region. And it had a super vast home range spanning Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Iraq, Syria, like just this huge giant area, right? This huge, big, sandy desert that nobody goes into. And now, and this is what's interesting about this, ask me 10, 15 years ago when I didn't know this animal existed, but ask me then and I would have said it's gone, right? But as modern technology has continued to increase, people are actually penetrating further and further into this like incredibly harsh landscape. And Saudi hunters have claimed to have seen and even shot them from their fancy helicopters. Because you've got all these rich fat cats in Saudi Arabia, and they're taking like dune buggies and helicopters and flying over the desert looking for oryx and other things to just basically murder because they have nothing better to do. And a couple different people have claimed to have seen them, seen footprints, and eggshells are still found relatively commonly. So it's hard to
Interesting.
say. In that region, like a footprint would disappear in no time flat, you know, with a little sand and some wind. But it's just like, it's such a big region. Ostriches are much, much more clever and elusive than people give them credit for. It's possible. They could still be out there.
I mean, just the Syrian desert is a 500,000 square kilometer region, you know, and when
that's
you look
just
at it,
one
it's
of the like 12
barren
countries. Yeah.
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 So I like this idea. What would be a tactic, Forrest, that you would have? What's a bag or something you would have had in your bag of tricks to look for the Syrian ostrich? Would you have built a meat tree? What would you do?
I had this whole vision of going full on Mad Max. Like, literally just get sand buggies and load them up with so much gasoline, right? Like, each one has like 15 jerry cans of extra fuel and just crossing the desert. So
Just
not
go.
even like, oh, we're going to do a loop and like, you know, let's look around here. We'd be like, all right, this is the last known sighting or the last spot that somebody reported it. Just go straight. Like, just let's be like an ostrich. Let's be transient like an ostrich, cover this vast amount of ground that nobody else is covering, and just do this Mad Max race through the desert looking for them. Because the thing is, if you see them, they're sticking out like a sore thumb. They're these giant black birds on the sand dunes, or you're finding tracks. Once you know, all you have to do is find that one set of tracks and turn and follow it until you find the birds. So you just have to cover ground in order to find these things, which, you know, I think it also would have been a really cool looking show, just like on these sand dunes
Hell
going on
yeah.
this crazy adventure.
Oh, yeah.
But covering ground would be the name of the game with these guys.
I mean, there's big sections of parts of Africa there that it's all land. It's all connected by land. You know, in Mauritania, there's huge sections of desert where no Westerners go. One guy has been there in the last 15 years from outside because it's so dangerous and it's hard to get there. I mean, there's huge sections. So there, there could be a little pocket there. You could be hanging out in the Ricot structure. Who knows?
No question. No question. Not no question that they still exist, but no question they could exist.
I've been swayed.
Wild times.
So if you want more behind the scenes stuff that we cannot show on YouTube, Darwin Awards, video breakdowns and reviews, check out the Patreon. It's full of hours and hours of incredible exclusive content, stuff that you guys are gonna love. Swipe up, click the link, do the thing, come and hang out on Patreon. See you guys there.